have a little math in the real world to do. Everyone's favorite segment of the show. And we are back at Tejon Ranch. And my friend Mitchell, thank you so much for having us again. You know, last season we got a chance to be in kind of the valley portion, and we're in a different part of the ranch now. So tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're gonna do today, because doggone, we are next to a doggone big tree. It's crazy.
Sure. So relative to where we were last time in the San Joaquin side of the ranch,
Right.
we're on the Mojave side of the ranch now. So we're pretty far south of where we met last time, but we're
Right.
still on the ranch.
Still on the same piece of property.
Yeah, if you take a peek around at some of the habitat here, it looks pretty different from where we were last one. Was it November?
Right, very different, yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt. Lots of
And,
flowers and different plants and obviously different animals as well.
Totally different plants and animals and soils, and it's very windy over here relative, so it's very different.
Yeah, very different. So we're standing next to this ridiculously large tree.
Yeah.
And last time we talked real briefly about, you know, being able to calculate how many species of a certain plant on a certain area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one kind of mathematical thing that maybe you do in your job.
Yes.
But another thing you do is try to determine the age of a tree, right?
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I'm so curious how you would look at this tree. I would say it's hundreds of years old and it's so gigantic it had to be really big, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, well, we often look at plants or trees or even animals in nature, and we try to guess how old things are, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very common thing that land managers, biologists, people who study trees specifically, they look at stuff like this and they actually measure it directly. And this tree in particular, the reason why I wanted to take you here is that we do tours on the ranch quite frequently over here. We have these abundant wildflowers.
Yeah.
And we drive up and down this canyon, and people look at this tree specifically. This is a California sycamore.
Okay.
And they say, wow, that's the biggest sycamore we've ever seen. How old is it? And so people say, oh, I think this tree is 200 years old. I think it's 80. I think it's 1,000 years old. And you get wildly different estimates.
Yeah.
You can't always tell. Some trees grow very quickly. Some trees grow very slowly. Actually, the oldest tree that's ever been cored on the ranch is one of the smaller trees out here.
Yeah.
It just grows very slowly, but it's the oldest.
Right. And so you talked about, you just said something about coring. What does that mean, and how do we determine? I'm sure lots of people know a little bit about the rings of a tree, right?
Yes, I have an example right here.
Yeah, so we can count the rings of a tree, and that's each year the tree trunk gets bigger and it adds another ring of what we would look at, right?
Exactly. So when a seedling germinates, every year that as it gets older, with every spring and summer season, it puts on another growth ring.
Okay.
And so if you take this is a cross section of a tree, and you're looking at it laterally like this, if you do something as simple as count the rings, you're literally counting how old the tree is.
And you can't always take a chunk of the tree out like this, because this is a really big piece of wood, and that would do some damage to the tree.
Exactly.
So, let's do some coring. I want to see this coring tool that you have, and how it works, and what happens when you do that.
So this is a tool, it's a non-damaging tool. It's sort of like taking a blood sample.
Okay.
It's called a tree core.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can drill into this tree. It doesn't hurt the tree. This field, by the way, is called dendrochronology. It's the study of annual growth rings.
Right.
And there are many, many different applications
Sure.
for this. So
let's do it. Let me see you get this thing done
So
here.
this is how it works. It's got a drill bit right here. It's a very sharp end, kind of like a knife. And this might actually take a couple goes because everything's a little bit different, but you essentially drill in just like this, right? You want to make sure it's nice and level. And of course, the outermost ring, we're going to assume is 2022. And now that it's bitten in, we're just going to go ahead and start drilling in as far as we reasonably can. Beyond just determining the age, again, you can use this to quantitatively determine the health of the tree throughout its entire lifespan.
Right.
So we could go in a bit further, but
Right.
just to kind of compare them, this is a tool that you can use to extract the core. We'll just put it in there and take this core sample out.
Whoa.
Okay, so that's not a complete core,
Right.
but you can get a picture of what it looks like. And
Yeah.
so this obviously is coming from the outside. And so we're going to assume that whatever growth is on there from this year is 2022.
Right.
And you can't quite see the growth rings on this because it hasn't been processed yet, but you can imagine the annual growth rings going in this direction, the older the tree gets.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we can't know. It takes some processing back at a lab to know.
Right.
So like you said, we got a fully processed core sample here just to show what it looks like on the other end. So we can just imagine this is actually a different species. It's a blue oak, the oldest blue oak that's ever been cored in California, to my knowledge.
Wow.
So we can just pretend here, this is obviously the dates are a bit different, but when you process it in the lab and you sand it down, you can see the growth rings really nicely like that. And so with this particular oak tree right here on this processed sample, it was cored in 2014, and looking back at the growth rings, it germinated, or at least this core went back to 1654. Wow. So this is the oldest oak tree that's ever been sampled in California. And you can do all kinds of analyses with this.
We want to know more. Gosh, there's so many amazing things to do, but we know there's also some more math to do back in the studio, so we'll be back in a bit with some more information from the Tejon Ranch.